Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast,
where we talk business, lifestyle, and mindset.
For the modern entrepreneur.
I'm Baxter Colburn.
I'm Allison Elise.
I'm Mandi Wilke. Let's chat. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Real Chat Podcast. I'm Mandi Wilke, and today I'm super excited to introduce a special, lovely guest, my daughter, Raleigh Wilke. So we're going to take a bit of a twist on entrepreneurship today and talk a little bit about things from her perspective instead of mine. So Raleigh, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. My name is Raleigh Wilke. I am 19 years old. I am a college student. I'm in my second year at Sacred Heart University out in Connecticut.
And I'm very proud of her. Very proud
Thanks.
of her for her achievements so far and what's yet to come.
Hey, thanks for being here, Raleigh.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So, Raleigh, I think we got to ask the question. So, Mom, obviously very business-minded, very business everything, right? Are you going to school for something like that, or are you in a totally different field and say, sorry, Mom, business isn't for me?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
Am I going to school for anything to do with business or entrepreneurship? I'm currently in my second year working on both my bachelor's in health science and my master's in public health. And then eventually I will go for my doctorate in occupational therapy. So
wow.
Nothing to do with business at all.
That's amazing.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Right.
No, and we're a lot alike in a lot of ways, but very different in the world of education. I did not love going to school. I was not great at school. Did not have drive to go on past 4 years. And she's doing all of those things differently. So
I was
exciting.
the same way.
Yeah, I love school. I am doing 5.5 years for school, which took a lot to be able to say that I will go for more than just my bachelor's, which is technically all you need to go into the public health world, but I wanted to go a little further. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So when you think about business, you're a consumer, right? You're more on that side of the world. You're not so much of the, I have something that I'm trying to sell. Have you done anything even as simple as like a lemonade stand or anything in your time, or sold Girl Scout cookies or anything? Like, is business, everyone's touched by business, I feel like, a little bit in their life in some capacity, but do you have, what have been some of the things, if any, that you've been able to be a part of?
Yeah, I haven't really done too much. I worked for a local company called On Pace Race for a little bit, helping with their social media and coordinating for those kinds of things. So I helped with the Pace team side of it and social media there. But other than that, nothing really to do with business at all, other than watching my mother run different businesses my whole life. And when I was younger, I didn't really know the difference between an independent contractor and like those kinds of things. I just kind of always knew that, you know, she did her own thing how she wanted to, and just watching the difference.
She still does.
That and
The spoiler alert.
Yeah, and just the regular, like my friends' parents growing up, most of them had the very basic 9 to 5, and I just grew up with a parent who did not have that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think there's probably part of her, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but part of her that didn't even realize I was a working mom when she was growing up. And I was in an entrepreneurial role where I was self-employed and I was working a sales job, but I don't know that she ever put that together.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when I was younger, I have this very vivid memory of her coming home and giving me these, like, my brother and I, these, like, colored Post-it note things almost, and was like, draw kids on a playground, because I'm doing a project for what a playground looks like for you, when she sold playground equipment. Because she was working on a project for playgrounds for kids with disabilities. And so she had us draw what a playground looked like to us and how that would be different for kids with disabilities. So in my mind, that wasn't work. It was, here, draw this picture for me.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this as a business model from the perspective of an 8 and a 6-year-old on how we're going to build this playground for kids with disabilities. I don't remember anything further than that. But like, as an 8-year-old, that's not work.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot about that. They got to come to the playgrounds a lot with me.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
awesome.
you
Yeah.
involved.
It was awesome as a kid to get to go and be like,
you need to go check
play
this
on
slide.
this playground, make sure it's good. If you fall,
Yeah.
it's my kid, so that's okay, but we need to make sure this playground's good. And then even when she did photography, she'd be like, put on this dress, let's go outside, let's take some pictures. I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, I look like a princess right now, and we're gonna go take pictures. That's great. That's not work. No, that's not work at all. Like, So it just was very different than watching a parent.
My boys feel the exact same way. My boys are 7 and 5 right now. So hearing some of that is very similar to experiences they've been a part of already, as far as helping with shoots. Or I uploaded photos last night and they were watching over my shoulder, asking questions about the shoot that day and genuinely interested in what it is. They love it when they can see themselves, or we create, fake YouTube videos for them, right? But it's being able to share that experience. And we've talked about that a little bit before, of being in a role or being in a career that you can take your family along with, right? It's not mom or dad goes to work and you never know or see or hear a word about what they do. They come home, yep, I know they're at work, but I know nothing about what you do. I think when you can share that with your family, that's only more exciting and hopefully a little bit more of an opportunity for memories to be made as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely creates those memories of like, oh, I remember this time with my mom. On this weekend, we went and did different things. Like one weekend, we did a Valentine's Day shoot, and that was work for her. But those pictures still go up in our house.
Right.
Like even 10 years later or whatever. Or there was one time when she was editing pictures, and she took my freckles and changed the color of my eyes. And I sat and she like showed me how to do that. And I was like, this is crazy to watch. Like, this is what you do every day. Like you edit pictures and you take pictures of different families, and this is how it works. It's fun to see the ins and outs. And even now with her stroll business, to see I in COVID helped a little bit, not much at all, but
Not true. She helped a lot.
I tried my best, but to see like the different, like how it works to write a magazine and how to get the different ads the way they need to be and the different stories and how much content versus how many ads is very interesting to see. So it's fun to see the background and like behind the scenes, if you will, part of growing up with a business owner parent.
I feel like you have a lot on your resume already.
Seriously, yeah.
Like that's so cool because you grew up and what was fun for you was work. And you get to look at it from a perspective of how is this going to shape me into my adulthood? And even though you're not going into anything that is necessarily entrepreneur related, you're taking some of those tools that you grew up with as just a fun day at a park, and you get to kind of utilize those things that you've learned and even grew up with, and you get to utilize them in your school, which is really cool.
Well, and I think in full transparency, she's talking back years ago to when she was little, right? And in the past 6 years as an entrepreneur that's owned Stroll and being really a sole income earner, if we want to really talk real chat, she's seen what would have been the hardest year of my life, starting the business, number one. But I tried to protect most of the hard parts. But I think even just in these last 2 weeks, I've struggled a lot these last 2 weeks and balancing and holding it all together and doing everything everybody needs. And it's the end of the year, so everybody is a little more on edge. And do you want to speak a little bit to that? Like you spoke to the positive, but I don't.
What's
I
your
don't
mom
hide,
really like?
Yeah, I don't hide as much from her as I used to, because she's older and I need her to understand it. But also not to add stress to her life, but to understand that there's going to be good days and bad days.
Yeah.
But then also she's home now for Christmas over break, and she's with me 24/7. So things that I was better at hiding when they would go to school or having my breakdowns. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah. I mean, I think being a business owner, especially in my generation, is a very glamorous, quote unquote, thing. I think like we see all these teenagers who get famous on TikTok and then now they have all these businesses and are making millions and millions of dollars, when that is not the reality of being a small business owner at all. And I don't have personal experience, but I've seen it. And it's a lot of work in any sort of business owner role. Like through your business, I've met tons of business owners. I worked for small business owners all of high school and just
That were partners of mine.
yeah,
actually.
her business partners were how I got the majority of any job I worked. But I think there's a big part of like embracing the suck, as you always say. Like
I love
there,
that.
I do say that. We're going to
love
embrace
that.
it does
that.
say embrace the suck. It is hard to have to call to renew business partners, and when people don't show up for meetings as a business owner, like they might be busy, but that's your income to support your family. And so when people don't show up and don't meet your expectations and all those kinds of things, it makes it hard to be a business owner and the kid of a business owner to watch her have people not show up for meetings. And then she's like, I just lost out on money and income and time in my day. So there is a big negative with the positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just balancing the stress of it all, right? You get to see behind the scenes of it now a little bit more as you're older. And then I think with that sometimes comes some guilt, right? Because she's in college, she needs some financial support. And so it adds another element of stress that then she sees the backside of it. So trying to balance all of that. Yeah.
Raleigh, I'm curious to get your thought about this. This isn't even business related. It's more so about being the oldest sibling. I'm the oldest of three as well. My parents got divorced when I was 17, and my brothers were 6 and 1 or 8 and 1, something like that. So they really had no clue and didn't understand what it was like to see a single mom have to work a bunch of different jobs. My mom never had a full-time job, but she was great at working the odd jobs. That's just what she was able to do with three boys that were under 18 at home. And you grow up quickly as the oldest, right? When something like that happens, you grow up quickly when you catch your mom crying in the kitchen for a second, or just all of us, right? Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like, those things happen so much more than I think people realize. And I've found, at least my relationship with my mom is so much stronger because I didn't walk the other way and say, Mom's got stuff going on, I'm going to let her be. I walked towards her and said, what do you need? I might not understand it or can probably not even do anything, but how can I help you in this moment? Yeah. And I know my mom and I have a better relationship because of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think all oldest kids grow up a lot faster than the rest of kids. I think it's just a very natural, like, especially girls, but like a maternal kind of role. Like, but for me, through the divorce, even just saying, hey, I can go pick up this kid. Hey, I can do the dishes today. I can do the laundry. Just the little things makes such a huge impact.
Correct.
Like, even last night, she was like working and she's like, we're doing chicken quesadillas for dinner. I'm a college kid. I'm a pro at quesadillas. Like, it's the easy, like, we do it all the time. And even at school, like, I cook, I clean. It's things I
She's called the mother at school.
I am. But I was like, I can do it. And she's like trying to make dinner while she's on the phone and doing an email. I'm like, just let me do it. It's okay. So I think that part of it, it's like easy for me to just step in and be, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. And I think that's a big thing too. When I've been home, like, I work while I'm at school, which is not common for college kids, especially in their earlier years.
Yep.
So I work 5 days a week while I'm at school. So
And she still got a 4.0.
Yeah.
Did I mention that?
You may have once.
I think that was the first intro, second
so.
intro.
That's fine.
4.0. Anyway.
So to come home, like, these 2 weeks at home are my week where I don't work. So I'm doing nothing. Like, I have nothing to
Rightfully so.
So me to just make a meal or do the dishes or do laundry is super easy. And definitely, to your point earlier, our relationship has gotten a lot stronger in the last, since COVID for sure, if not before that. We did not always like each other very much.
We didn't.
We did not.
There was a stretch there that I didn't really like her and she didn't really like me.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge. But I think what we've learned through that is we're very similar.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Raised a small version of yourself.
People must not like me because I am like this. No, but I mean, I think there are times where you are going to, with your kids, go through these and then you're looking at them like, why are they so annoying? And then you're like, oh, because they're me.
Yeah.
And they're almost like, there's times where she steps into a role that I had or have had, and I'm like, dang it, she's actually doing it better than I would have.
But that's a testament to you, Mandi, because, like, I dream of Addie being like you someday. I bring Addie with me to as many places as I can.
Yeah.
I have a very independent, outgoing, outspoken little girl who wants to kind of march to the beat of her own drum. She tells me she's never going to be a photographer. It's too much work. I feel like there's a lot of areas of that a lot of times, like, we as parents, we can make mistakes and, you know, force her to come with me or force her. I feel like you gave Raleigh grace, and it's a testament to how you parented her, because every mom's dream is to have her daughter home from college and she's helping with the things that are just like everyday things that we've done forever that we're a lot of times doing on our own. And for you to be picking up that slack or to be taking on those just being mindful of the fact that your mom is trying to do it all still is such a testament to how you are as a mom and to who you are as a daughter too, Raleigh.
Right.
Like, that's amazing. That is such a cool quality and characteristic to have. And you should both be so proud of yourselves, because I feel like this, through the not liking each other journey, which I think, and in my opinion, every mother-daughter duo at some point in your life, you have your differences.
Yeah.
Like, the grass does get greener. There's a silver lining. There's always that moment where, like, this moment that you guys are in right now, where Mandi, for weeks and weeks, you're like, oh, Raleigh's home for these weeks. I have to clear my schedule. I have to move things around because I want to make sure that I have that intentional time with her. I think that's so cool to be on this side of it and to showcase kind of how that relationship has blossomed too, and to be able to support each other as well.
Well, and to want her to have her home and want to spend time with me, I think is a huge blessing. I mean, so many of these kids that come home and they're like, I got to go see my friends. I got to go do this. I got to do this. And I'm like, are you going to do anything?
Yeah.
They're not
They
home.
sleep in the house, but eat your food, and that's
They're
it.
sleeping and they're eating.
Yeah. And I think those are like huge moments when you see, I mean, and this might be a little bit off topic, but when we're talking about raising good kids, right? And we wonder when that's going to happen. We wonder when we're going to be like, we're so proud of you.
In real time, that comes all full circle.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we were on a campus visit out to Connecticut, and we flew into an airport in New York, and Raleigh's always been exposed to just talking to whoever, right? There was never any like stranger danger. It was like, just talk to everyone, be nice to everyone, ask questions. And we were sitting in an airport, this tiny little airport that I don't think anybody would come into ever and do any harm. It was just not big enough, smaller than Green Bay. And we were
Gate airport.
One gate
Oh, wow.
airport,
Yes.
no place to sit. Security was insane. There have been a bunch of flights that were canceled out of LaGuardia, so they moved them all to this tiny little airport in the middle of nowhere, which is the one we like to fly out of. And we're sitting looking at the security gate, and we're watching all these people like getting tortured going through security, right? Like really
This
irrational.
airport security is always like this. It
Yeah,
is
they
always
think
For a
they're
one-gate
the
airport?
downtown New York
Why?
police.
Are they rude? Or
They're
Yes.
rude.
They're
and,
horrible.
That's New York.
And so anyway, we're sitting there watching, and we're watching this woman with these two young children, one in an infant seat and then a toddler. And they of course make her take, and she's by herself. They of course make her take the infant out. And then she's like trying to manage these two kids.
She's
and
got the breast pump and the formula.
Just ridiculous. And-
Everything you could ever need to have a baby. One of them was a very small baby.
And
Yeah.
they pull her into a security check because her toddler had an apple juice.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And then they took the apple juice from the little girl, threw it away, and then they're like, you need to come over here. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do with my kids? Right? Like, and we're watching this all go down. And they get through the security, and Raleigh gets up, and I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to buy that little girl an apple juice.
Because the toddler was screaming.
Right.
Right? And the mom was like beside herself. She was like, she looked exhausted.
She was in tears.
She was in tears. And I had two kids under 2 at one point, and I'm like, I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking I should do something, but I don't even have time because she gets up. She goes and she buys the apple juice. She goes over to, she actually went over to the mom and said, can I buy you an apple juice?
Yeah.
And I'm
'cause
watching
it's
this.
New York, and
How
Right.
old were you?
This was last year.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, that is my daughter.
Yeah.
And the lady's like, oh. And so they walk together. Raleigh's walking with this mom and these two little kids to the little concession area, convenience
the
store.
one little convenience store.
Yeah,
this-
the tiny.
Buys her an apple juice.
You
and
probably
this
bought
little,
the last one.
Yeah, this little girl is smiling ear to ear because this strange woman bought her an apple juice. And the woman walks by me and says, is this your daughter? And I said, yeah. And she said, today she restored my faith in humanity. And I was like, that is my girl, New York. Like,
Which is amazing.
bringing the Midwest into New York.
Absolutely.
And those are the moments as parents where we like, no matter if she ever wants to buy my business or ever wants to, because I wouldn't give it to her, I'd sell it to her. If she ever wants to
Take her
buy
in it.
my business, or if she never wants to be anything like me, that is me.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care who people know or think they know in this community. If they know me, they know that is me. And I'm like, that is when you know you've done your job as a parent.
100%.
And those are values that you can't just teach overnight. Those are values you've instilled in her. And those are moments that when she sees a struggling student or in any applicable situation in her life, she is going to be the one to help someone, which is that's so cool.
And that mom will raise those two little kids to do the same.
Exactly.
So we're passing that on. We're passing that torch on in that world.
Exactly.
And I think anytime that you can do that, though, I mean, that's something that's so important, I think, as a parent, right? And we could go deeper in on parents and everything that has to do with that. I mean, I keep a list of life goals in my phone, and one of my life goals literally says to give back to my mom, because I've seen everything that my mom sacrificed for me, and to be in a spot now that I can do that. And that's hard sometimes, though, when you are as a child, as the oldest, to say, hey, Mom, I want to buy this for you. I want to do this for you.
Mama needs a house.
Your immediate reaction, usually as a parent, though, is no. It's like, I'll figure it out. Like, don't worry about it. Like, my mom needed to come up for her brother's funeral, and she's like, I don't have the money for it. I'm like, I'll put you on a plane. Like, I don't care. And she's like, no, I can't ask you to do that. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm doing this for you because of all the things you did for me and the impact you made in my life, to show me to be kind to people, to love other people, fearlessly, and the way that, Jesus loves all of us. I'm like, that's how I want that. I want the world to receive that for me, and hopefully my kids see that too, and then love others that way as well.
It's so important too. And last night when she was making dinner, and I was like, oh, I feel guilty. She's home. She should be resting. She should be relaxing. She just did an amazing job for her school. And I'm feeling the guilt. It's important as a mom and as your mom to receive the blessing that they're giving back to us. Yep. Because if we're not open to receiving it, and we're just going to look at it as guilt, we're not going to appreciate it. I'm not going to appreciate what she's done and how she's growing into the woman that I want her to be if we don't sit back. And I was guilty of it last night. I was like, oh, she shouldn't be cooking dinner, when I was doing 3 things, and no offense, she was doing nothing. So she had the time to do it.
All day. It was the first thing I did the whole day.
But it's true. The fact that you sat back and you're like, I've done literally nothing all day. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
It does. She's always been that way.
So. I love that. Raleigh, I have a quick question for you. In all of like the moments that you recall with your mom and growing up and her businesses and the life that you have lived with her, what are some things you really look up to about your mom? What are some things that like really, like something that, it doesn't have to be just in business, but something that you really like just hold on to about her that you love about her?
Yeah, I think
I'm not gonna look at her.
I think her work ethic obviously is like the biggest one. It's like the first thing business owners and other people notice. Like, we go, oh, don't cry.
Sorry.
That was a tough question.
I didn't mean to trigger emotion. You can answer it just quickly. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's good. It's good to know these things.
I think it's important to look at, not to cut you off, but it's important to look at too on like, we as parents don't necessarily think that every single thing we do is being watched by our children.
100%.
And they are. So like when we're business owners and we're raising children in a very tough world, like this world is not easy to raise kids in.
No.
And the intentionality, I feel like I don't know necessarily what your dynamic was in parenting Raleigh or raising her.
Me neither.
But I feel like
when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
I feel like it's a question more so based on the fact of like, maybe you'll never own a business. Maybe you'll never, I don't know, buy her business from her. But just within like the characteristics of your relationship and how you were raised and the things that you did go through every single day as you were raised with her. I mean, she was a working mom your whole life. Those moments matter. And they kind of just are embedded into who you are. And so I asked that question more so with like intention of how you feel she's impacted your life and what you look up to her for in that.
Yeah, and I think other than her work ethic, the biggest one is her ability to build relationships with people and just talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I think that's made a huge impact on my college experience, because I moved halfway across the country and my parents' support in that was huge.
Yeah.
But to move halfway across the country, I didn't know a single person. I was one of very few people in my high school to like really leave the state and not go to like Wisconsin, Minnesota, like the closed states. Like I was one of you to like leave and go pretty far, like to the point where I couldn't just drive home for a weekend.
Yeah, which can be scary.
But yeah, just her ability to build relationships and just talk to people. Like for my job that I worked with social media, a big part of that because she started doing the social media and I took over at 15, 16 years old, a huge part of that was being able to walk up to an adult, especially not to like single a specific group of people out, but like older men, to like walk up to a race director who are typically older men and be like, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to do my job. And a lot of them the first time were like, no, you are in the way. And to be able to be like, no, this is what I'm here to do and this is the job I need to get done is a huge part of that like relationship building. But then also when I moved out to college, to be able to walk into a job interview and be like, hi, I'm this random girl from Wisconsin, or to walk into a room with my academic advisor and be like, this is my plan. How can you help me make this work? And to like build those relationships that have gotten me to the point where I can do my bachelor's and master's at the same time, where I can finish school quicker, where I can get jobs that I may not have been able to get without being like, this is what we need to do. How can you help me make this work? Or how can I help you like make this work to get to a point where I'm at now?
Yeah.
I think that skill for people is one that's harder to teach. You have it or you don't. And that's just something that I'm excited for her because I know that will help her in life as well.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Raleigh, any final thoughts from you before we have to let you go for those of us that are maybe a little bit farther behind the path of where you and your mom are? So, Allie and I both have kids that are working their way towards the similar relationship that you and your mom, but anything that maybe you can give advice to us, either as parents or as parents that are business owners, to either incorporate our kids or just things to just watch out for, that you say, hey, mom did this really well. Mom could have been better at this, in a nice way, right? Of like how we can hopefully maybe learn from some of the journey you've been a part of so far.
Yeah, I think definitely just like give your kids the grace to explore what they want to do. Like there was never any pressure on me, like this is what you need to do. It was like, do whatever you want. In a controlled way, obviously. Like I was never told what I had to be a part of or what I couldn't be a part of. I was never told you have to be here or you have to be there. Yeah. Like with the exception of school, right? Like, I mean, I was pretty driven for school, but just having the grace to be like, yeah, sure, you want to try that. Like it might be inconvenient to bring your kid everywhere, but I was involved in everything. And it helped me decide what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy. And I think she loves building relationships in a sales way, but through all the different things I explored, I found that I like building relationships in a way where I'm helping people. So that's kind of how I chose my career path. So just giving the grace while also like setting the boundary of, this is what we need to do, while also being like, do what you want, like explore.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I'm incredibly proud for you. She's not even my daughter. And I'm like, I would be so proud sitting in your seat right now if that were Beckham or Rio or, and that would just make my heart melt, knowing of the work that I've done, knowing your story, what you've gone through. That is just a beautiful thing and a testament to you. And I don't know if people tell you enough. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
And I hope you know that and realize that.
When they meet Raleigh, I do get that. And that's exciting. And it's exciting for me and my other kids as well. But I think when they get to the age where you're ready to bless and release them to the world, you want to know that you've done everything that you can. I always say you want them to take the best qualities of me and the best qualities of her dad and the best quality of anybody else that's in her life as a parent or a role model, and then put all those together. Yep. Like leave the bad parts to the side. And I think Raleigh's done a good job of that.
Yeah, you're amazing. Thanks for being here. We loved having you and love getting to hear a little bit about your story and your dynamic and where you're going and where you're headed and the perspective of, you're not a child, but your child, Mandi. I think that's so cool to hear the perspective of it.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for allowing us the opportunity to deviate a little bit from the entrepreneurship and bring in kind of another perspective on it. So thanks for joining us today on the Real Chat podcast.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.